So today we're back with another of our a special guest, two special guests. Yeah. This is a second instalment of our mini series, Girls on the Grind.
Girls on the Grind.
And today we are joined with Lola and Lauren.
Hey, say hello. Hey.
So we're going to get to know a bit about Lauren and her career so far and transition into being a mummy.
Woo.
So carry on watching.
You want to start, so we want to know kind of how it all started, where your career started, why it started.
Yeah, tell us who you are first, what you do.
Oh, hey. So I'm Lauren, I'm 23 soon, and I did cabin crew for quite a couple of years, but I've gave that up for many reasons, which we'll go into.
Ooh.
But so at the moment I'm just basically full-time mom, but I have got things planned and
Yeah. Well, also Lauren is also the GC.
I am. I'm the GC of the West Midlands, I like to say, and my best friend Owen's like, my Lucas. So, yeah, I'm a bit like GC, it's quite bad. Nathan gets a bit fed up. He's like, you're not the GC, and I'm like,
Yeah, I am.
But yeah, I try to be, but I don't think I am really. I'm like the knockoff GC.
Well, so, as you said, you were cabin crew.
Mm-hmm.
Where did that begin? When did you know you wanted to do that?
So I never really knew. I was going to go to college in sixth form and do A-levels. I hadn't really decided, and I decided to do A-levels at college, and I hated it. The first year, it wasn't for me, and I felt like I was doing it more because society says, oh, you need to do A-levels and go to uni. So I was like, do you know what, I'm just going to drop out, and I was working at Waitrose part-time. And I thought, right, I'll just go there full-time till I figure out what I want to do. So I worked full-time there for 6 months. And then I was looking at college courses and I was like, I've got to do something. Because I was only 17 at the time. So I felt like I was kind of wasting my life, but I just had no clue. And then it said travel and tourism. And I was like, oh, could I get paid to travel the world? But then when I looked into it, it was more kind of about the travel industry. And then there was a course that said cabin crew, which is, there's only 3 courses in the whole of the UK apparently. So one's at Warwickshire College.
Convenient.
Yeah, I know. So it's quite a rare course. It doesn't really get funded very often. So me and Owen went together, because he didn't really know what he wanted to do either. And then we started watching all the documentaries on TV, like how glamorous it was. So we kind of just...
I've seen these.
Yeah, and they're
good to watch.
They really are. So they do Virgin Atlantic ones, BA, and I was like, oh, that sounds really good, getting paid to travel the world. I wasn't old enough yet because you have to be 18, and I didn't really have a clue what cabin crew properly was. So I was like, I'll do the course, because it's funded anyway, because I was under 18.
Yeah.
So yeah, I joined with my bestie, and we both joined, and then from there, that's how it all started, and loved it.
So, where did it turn into a career? How did it turn into a career?
Yeah, so while I was working at Waitrose and doing the course, they kind of influence you to actually apply for the jobs and not just do the course. Some people didn't want to, they wanted to finish the course and then just see actually if it's what they wanted to do. Mm-hmm. But I was like, right, this sounds amazing, get me in it. So while I was studying, I was also applying for loads of cabin crew jobs, and I just kept getting rejected. And the first airline I ever worked for, I actually got rejected 5 times by then, but I had it in my head I wanted to work for them because they're close to home, the airport's only 20 minutes, and they had a really good reputation. And I just kept going to interviews, and they just kept rejecting me. One, because I had a tattoo, and it was visible under my tights. And
it's on your foot.
It's on my right foot, but because
it's not like it's on
so
your
is
arm.
it really
it's
strict?
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about what is the process of applying for that kind of role?
Yeah, so it's quite similar to most jobs. You have to apply online and then do an assessment, and obviously send your CV in, but also do scenarios and fill out. It's quite tedious. It took about 2 hours to fill out the application.
Right.
And then they go through it, and then they either say, well, actually, we don't really think you'd be right for this, or they invite you to interviews. And I kept reapplying like every couple of months and going to these interviews, and I was just unsuccessful. And they basically said, just keep applying, because some people do apply lots and then we feel like you're ready at one point. So that's what I did. But the time I actually got the job was they had an open day in Birmingham at a hotel at the Hilton, and it was just for anyone that was kind of walking in the street and just to see what it was all about. And then if you wanted to, you'd write your name down, a bit like the X Factor, you'd write your name down and they'd call you up like 3 hours later and go, yeah, right, so we're going to give you an interview now. And that's actually when I got it. And I think because it was an open day, I just felt so much more chilled out, confident, and also
it was like formal.
Yeah,
Not so much pressure.
Because I knew the other ones I was having an interview, and this is what it was, and it was actually at the airport, and it was with all these other girls, and it really is like every girl has a bum,
Seems
red
like
lipstick.
an audition, not an interview.
It honestly is. Every girl looks the
Here
same.
are your
it's got scarves.
exits.
Yeah. So, but I think open days are the best way to get into it, because you're so chilled. There's like a tea and coffee station, and you're talking to the people. I mean, there was people that walked in with Ugg boots that had just been on the street.
Just fancied it.
Yeah, and just wanted to see what it was about. But I knew what obviously I was going into, because I'd already done interviews. So I did have the bun and the scarf and that. But yeah, so that's when I was actually successful. And I could kind of tell the way the interview was going that I was successful, because she was like, oh, I'll give you these details because I can help you for all like the process of the training and that. I was thinking, and she was quite high up, and I was thinking, you wouldn't give me your details, her, unless. So yeah, and I got a call a week later, and that was how I worked for Monarch Airlines.
Well, that must have been, that kind of process of doing it as an open day must have kind of shown you against the people that had just walked in off the streets as well.
Definitely.
Because you got the training.
Yeah.
And it really showed that you knew what you were doing.
Yeah. I think open days are probably quite expensive for them to hold, like, because obviously they've got to pay for the venue and that. But actually, I think they probably find their best people doing that, because that's when people are their best. They're relaxed, they're chatting to the people, whereas the interview, you're kind of not talking because you're so nervous and you're waiting to just be called in. But the actual interview processes are quite hard. Like, it's each round and you've got to pass them. So it's like a maths test, English test, general knowledge about the company, and then they get you in scenarios, what would you do in this, and they're watching you. And if you don't talk in that group, each round they go, right, if you're in this room, you through to the next round, or if you're in this room,
literally how it was when I was at the X Factor.
Yeah, it's so horrible. And they just literally escorted me.
Just dropping that in again.
Horrible. Like, they escorted me like from the airport and were like, no, sorry, you haven't got it this time. So yeah, open days are the way forward. I feel like every company should do it, definitely.
Right. So, as you said, that was for your first job, which was with Monarch. How long were you there? What kind of flights were you doing there? Where were you travelling to?
So that was all short haul. It was at Birmingham. So it was all charter. So basically night Ibizas, Alicante. So basically the fun routes, like all the stags and the hens would come in.
Did you have drunken flights?
All the time. Because
is that annoying or is it actually funny?
Do you know what? It's 50-50. Sometimes, if you're absolutely knackered and then you're back in the next day really early, you just be like, just because you've been drinking since 5 a.m. at Wetherspoons, I haven't, and now I've got to serve you more alcohol. You just think, just calm down. But actually, looking back at it now, you can really get your personality out there. You don't have to be a robot, because the more banter you have with them, the more you sell. And that's kind of what the job's based on, commission, selling all the duty free. So you get them drunk. This sounds awful. You get them drunk, as many drinks as they want, and then you come out of the duty free trolley and they're all trolleyed, literally, and you're like, yes, do you want an alien perfume? Get it for your girlfriend to make up for what you're going to do this holiday. Got one for your sister too. And so the drunker they were, the more they're going to spend. And the commission at the end was amazing. Yeah, it was for short haul. And and then unfortunately I was only there for one season because they went under, which was so sad, because they were around for 50 years and no one saw it coming. But yeah, they just lost all their money, and it was really sad, because I was actually on holiday at the time with my staff travel discount with them, and I was in Benidorm, and it was all on the news, and I lost my job, and we nearly didn't even get on the flight home because there was no Monarch to fly back with, and their priority was passengers, and I was crying, I've lost my job, I don't have any money to stay, and thank God they managed to get me on the last flight, but I had to send a rescue flight out from a different airline. But it was really sad. And I was a bit disheartened, because it's my first ever cabin crew job. And I thought, well, I'm in now, that's it. Because I was going to get rehired for every season. And then obviously it just got taken away from me. And they're asking for their uniform back and their ID. I never gave either back. I kept it all.
Why would they want the uniform back?
Oh, I know. I sold it on eBay. It was brilliant. Rare Monarch uniform. Never to be one again.
So how old were you then when you were... Was that class was made redundant?
Yeah, I was made redundant. I didn't really get much redundancy though, because obviously I was literally
nothing,
there.
yeah.
They had nothing. So it took months to even get the payment that I was due from the government.
Were you were you 20 then? Was that
19?
20?
Oh my god!
My gosh, first job, 19, and you made redundant. That must
And
have
I was
really,
actually
really hurt.
Disheartening.
And I was renting a place with my partner at the time as well, so I was private renting. I wasn't even living at home.
Yeah,
So to
you
lose
had
a
bills.
job,
Yeah,
it was scary. It's not like if you live at home, it's a bit more okay. Well, I'll find a new job. It was like I've got to find somewhere quick because I'm going to get evicted otherwise.
basically.
Yeah, so I was quite scared. I was like on the phone to Mum, I've lost my job, but
You can't. Yeah, that was
reason.
clearly. Because then what happened after that? Then, so how long were you out of work? Did you go and do something different? I mean, I know, but for the people that don't know,
So with airline industries, most of the time, if you work short haul, you just work for the summer season, and then winter, unless you've been there a while, they don't really hire you. But they say, oh, come back next summer. So I was already planning a job for winter anyway, just to keep me going until I started again in March next year. So thank goodness I'd already applied for TGI Fridays because I lived right next door to it at the time. I thought, do you know what, it's a waitressing job, it's flexible, it's good tips. And then they already said to me, while I'm flying, I can do extra shifts if I want to. So I thought, brilliant.
Right.
But obviously when I got the job, I was only meant to be starting like December and doing part-time, and because the woman who interviewed me knew what had obviously happened because it was all over the TV about Monarch, she rang me up and she said, look, we've got a full-time vacancy, if you want it you can start now. So I literally started up like 2 days after I got back off holiday.
took a bit of pressure off.
But for the people that hadn't had anything planned and the people that had been there years, like there was couples like a captain and cabin crew that had been together like 20 years and had a mortgage and everything, and they both lost their job at the same time. So but I was quite lucky, so yeah, that just kept me going until I could find another cabin crew job.
So you know when you found out you were made redundant, was it literally on the news? Or was it?
I found out on the news before I actually got told because someone leaked it to BBC. So I had the news on live in Spain at like 5 a.m, and then the email popped through like 10 minutes later to the CEO going, oh, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, flipping hell, I found out, like, the passengers have found out before me.
Before you,
like,
oh God.
Yeah, so it was a pretty crap situation, but I feel more sorry for people that had families and all of that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Luckily, you were in a position where you did have bills to pay, but it's not as if it was like now and you've got Lola and...
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so it could have been worse.
Definitely. And then everyone was like, don't get disheartened, there's other cabin crew jobs. And I was like, ugh. So I was applying for all of them, and for example, New Zealand Air don't accept people that wear glasses, and I was like, well, that's me. That's me.
Sorry?
I know.
You can't say that.
I don't know how they get away with that, because like back in the day, you couldn't have a boyfriend. You had to be really thin.
What?
And you had to be under 25 to be cabin crew. When this is like the olden days, old
Bloody
BA.
hell.
Obviously, you can't get away with that
Was there
now.
a documentary on BA? I feel like I watched that.
Yeah, and it was all
and
about.
I was like, oh my god, it's so strict.
Yeah, it really is. But times have obviously changed because you can't get away with that in society. But for some reason, New Zealand obviously can, because they said no glasses, a certain weight, and I was like, well, that ain't happening then because I'm not giving up pizza. So
well, no, you shouldn't have to change your body for a job unless you're a model.
Yeah, I know.
And even then, it's controversial.
Yeah. So I just kept applying. Then I thought, hang on, should I try long haul now? I've done short haul and I loved it, but should I just try and drive? I'd never been on a motorway before, so I think it was more about the fact I'd have to drive on the M25 and the M40 to get to Heathrow. And I thought, I'll just apply for them. I probably won't get them anyway. So I was applying for BA and stuff. And then they invited me for an interview, and I was like, oh God, I'm going to have to drive on the motorway for the first time. So yeah, I went down the night before, and that was more scary than the interview, but God, the interview was something else. I thought I'd know everything just because I worked for an airline before, but I didn't know anything. Like, British Airways is like the top tier of tiers. I mean, it's completely different. Like, it was so strict and hardcore.
People probably think, I mean, I don't know this for sure, and knowing you, I don't think this, but I guess there's people out there that probably think it's an easy job to get into. It's like, oh, I'd like to do that. I fancy doing that.
I thought that until I watched this doc. I think it was BA or one of them, and I was like, fucking hell, like the process to get in is like
ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
It's like an exam and everything.
Yeah,
it's actually really hard.
It is.
So what was that interview like?
Horrible. But the interview was right at the end of the day. I had to pass all the other rounds, and what made it more like strange was the interview day they held for us was all for the Monarch employees. So we got like a direct entry.
Okay.
And they wanted experienced cabin crew because they were having a couple of issues.
Right.
So it was just for people from Monarch.
Oh, that's good.
It's like people from Leeds, Birmingham, Luton. It wasn't just like from Birmingham.
You were
Airport.
competing against your
And I
co-workers.
saw so many of my friends, and it was really hard because we're all kind of down because we literally just lost our jobs, and people loved Monarch. It was like a family. Like, can't explain it. It was so close. But then at the same time, you could see what the tactics they were doing, and you were kind of like, yeah, well, I need this job as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was nice and not nice. It was very bittersweet, but yeah, passed every round, and then obviously sat in the room waiting, like, if you got in this round, blah, 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 you've got through. But then I could see, like, through the window,
weird.
people that hadn't got through, that had worked for Monarch for 15 years, and I was like, I don't know if maybe they got a bit cocksure of themselves, and they thought, I've worked for ages, I'll get this job, in the, like, hallway crying, and I felt awful. I thought, bloody hell, I've only been at Monarch for one season, I'm not going to get it then. But
maybe it was your enthusiasm and you're fresh.
Yeah,
you were
I
like
think
fresh
so.
to it.
Yeah.
And I know they shouldn't be, but they could be a bit ageist as well.
Maybe, because the fleet that I was working for, they do want them like young to go onwards. Like, it's just how
It's so
it
weird
is.
how they think all these things. I don't really
Yeah,
understand.
I know.
No, I don't get it.
So then I found out, they said it was going to take about a month and then we'll let you know if you've got it. And then I could see people like posting on Facebook like, just found out I've got BA, like start next month. And I got really disheartened because it was all the people that were at my interview day and I hadn't had anything, and a week had passed. I thought they're just going to call me and just say, unfortunately, you haven't got it. And then it popped up and I got it. And it was like saying, right, so this is what you need to do now.
An email.
DBS check, all of that, yeah. And I was like in tears just because I thought it's only been 2 months while I was doing my waitressing and I've already got another job.
Really good
with
going.
cabin crew.
Very good.
And I think it's because obviously getting to Monarch took so long, like 5 interviews, that's ridiculous. So then just get BA like that, it just felt too good to be true. So I was just over the moon and and then I started December the 14th, had to move to Heathrow for 6 weeks around Christmas.
Oh, for training?
Yeah, I was training on Christmas Eve and everything. It was
my
it was
God.
hardcore driving back up, and I was driving home for Christmas. I had that on repeat on the M40, like.
So was the training for BA different than the training for Monarch?
Yeah, I think because they've got more money, and like I said, it is top tier, and it's like the flag carrier, they call it, because it's like the Royal Airline.
Right.
But yeah, hardcore. Like BA is just like a different world. Like it's called a SEP room, and it's basically a massive hall, and they've just got so much money. Like they've got aircraft bits, so like when you're doing your training and you're doing all like your brace and all of that, they've got all special effects, so the lights are flickering, the doors automatic.
It literally is like some sort of show, isn't
It's
it?
crazy. Like you've got like the doors automatically opening when you press it, like they
God.
come out.
God, you wouldn't have a clue unless you're in it, would you?
No.
You wouldn't have a clue that that's how they do the training.
Yeah, but whereas Monarch, looking back at it, it was literally like a cardboard cutout. No, it wasn't. But it was like, right, open this door, right, you've passed your training, wicked. But whereas this, no. And with Monarch, I've worked on 2 aircrafts. It was the A320 and the A321, whereas this had the 777, the 380, and every aircraft you have to know your stuff. So, yeah, it was horrible, I'm not going to lie. Especially around Christmas, just because, like, I had to move in with a girl to share the room. I didn't actually know. We just met each other on the interview day, and it turns out we got on really well, thank goodness. But we were at a travel lodge, and then we both caught an ear infection from the travel lodge, so we're out of hours in Hounslow, and it was awful. But you have to. I think everyone just has to get through it, don't you? No one enjoys training, but once you've done it, you've done it.
God,
So.
6 weeks of training is quite intense.
That is
as well.
brutal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Every day.
Every day.
Oh my God.
You get like the odd day off, but then like you'd learn all your stuff, then you'd have like 3 exams the next day. So
Could they still, throughout that process, send you home?
Oh yeah, if you don't pass the exam, you're a goner. You get 1 pass, but that's for the whole, like, out of all the exams. I think we counted in the end there was like 25 exams.
Oh my
like,
God.
Theory, and then there was actual physical where you had to demonstrate, and there was people that didn't make it.
Well, that's enough to put people off, I think,
Oh,
as well.
yeah.
It really would, like, what do they call it? It's like eliminating people.
Yeah.
If you're not thick-skinned and you can't just get on with it, the people had like personal things going on and stuff, and they just couldn't get through it because you have to give it your like 100%. You can't think about personal things. It's hard.
That's
but,
mad.
Yeah.
I didn't realise it was such a vigorous. Was it rigorous? I don't know.
It is,
vigorous.
but it's so rewarding at the end of it. When you wear that uniform and you're walking down the airport, every time I went to Chicago, there'd be people there that were going, "Are you in the Royal Marines?" And I'd be like, "No, we just work for BA." And they'd always want your photos at these hotels and like airports. It'd be like, because if you work on the big plane, there's 22 crew and then the 3 captains in the middle.
Would you be like walking
felt
through?
like I was walking
I can
slow
imagine
mo.
it going for the
And
airport.
it's just, you're wearing it, you just feel so proud. So I can understand it. It's a strict like vetting system because you're literally wearing that uniform. You've got to like,
You're
it's kind of like
representing
the
them.
army. I mean, that's a bit
Yeah.
dramatic. Nathan would be like, no, it's not, but it is.
So now you're in with BA, not
Yeah.
now, but I was saying back then.
Yeah.
And what kind of flights were you doing with them?
So I did mixed fleet. So it's a mixture of short haul and long haul. Mainly long haul, to be honest. You can also bid for what you want. So I did bid for long haul because obviously I have to commute an hour and a half from Birmingham to Heathrow. I didn't want to be doing short haul every single day and then driving all the way back, or
Right, make
That's
it worth
not
the
nice.
trip.
spending money on hotels to stay over in London. It just got too much. So I'd always bid for like South Africa or somewhere like that. So it could be as short as a Manchester there and back, and I'd get so fed up because they'd bring me and go on standby. Oh, you need to come in from Manchester. I'd be like, a half an hour flight takes longer for me to drive down. And because it's only a half an hour flight, you don't get paid much because you get paid from the minute you check in to the minute you check out, like after that trip.
Right, so it's not like it's a salary then.
Not you get it basic, but the money you make is from how long your trips are and how long you're away and your commission.
So you really would want the longer ones
Yeah,
then.
I mean the people that lived in Heathrow probably loved a Manchester in their back because they were done.
Yeah.
Half an hour flight, but not me. I'd be like, no, send me away for 9 days to Sydney.
So you'd go on these long haul flights and then you'd have like a holiday
Yeah.
on the end.
I mean, it just depends. Like, because New York isn't that far. It's like a 6 to 7 hour flight. We literally had 12 hours in New York, and I don't think we slept once. I mean, that's really bad because they say we need to sleep so you're not tired. Well, I wasn't going to sleep in New York.
The moose.
As soon as we landed, I was like, right, I'm going to go to Times Square.
Well,
There
yeah,
it
because you
is.
wouldn't want to. Can you imagine just going there and then just being in a
I
room?
know.
No, because you're thinking what's out there.
Yeah.
You wouldn't.
Oh, 100%. But yeah, there'd be other times where, for example, the longest trip I ever did was a Singapore-Sydney. So you stop in Singapore for a couple of days, go to Sydney, back to Singapore, and then back to Heathrow.
Wow.
9 days you're away for. So you've got to get on with your crew, because if you don't get on with your crew, which happens a lot, oh my God, you're stuck with them for 9 days. Like, that's hardcore. That's a holiday, isn't it? So
It is, yeah.
It's hard even going away with your own friends for that
I
long.
know.
Exactly. So when you're talking about like going away with crew, is it the same people? Is it different people? Like, do you know who you're going to be with? Like,
So Monarch, I could see my rota and I'd be like, yeah, know all of them, because you just would, because there was probably like 100 people at Monarch. BA have got 10,000 crew, and that's just mixed fleet.
Oh my God.
So flying with the same people twice, very, very rare. And it's such a shame, because there are some people you just had banter with and you'd be doing like the service, and you just get on with them so well, and then you'd be like, right, what are you going to do when you go down? And you'd find out who wants to do what you want to do. So when we went to LA, some people want to go into Hollywood, and I'm like, well, I did that last week, so I want to go to Disney. So then you'd find a group that want to go to Disney and kind of do the same thing.
That's so fun.
And you have to, because otherwise you're going to sit in your hotel. You have to be confident to do the job, because you just got to make new friends every time. And then you add them on Facebook and you never see them again. And it's such a shame, because there's a lovely girl that lives in Scotland, and she always sends me stuff for Lola, and she was so lovely. And I still haven't seen her since that one flight we did in LA.
oh, that's so sweet.
I
You must have
know.
really made a
Yeah,
friendship that one
definitely.
time.
So it's hard to make friends, and that's one thing that I don't miss about the job. I'm quite excited to work in a job where I kind of know the people. However, if you had annoying people, you'd be like, oh, I'll never see them again.
Yeah, it's all right.
Horrible managers, well, I'll never see you again anyway.
You can cope with someone for a couple of hours or a couple of days.
Yeah. So it was never boring,
Mm.
because you can't get bored, and you go on nights out with them and you become best mates, holding their hair while they're throwing up and all sorts in Bangkok.
It's interesting to me, because we've spoke about this before, like work friends are like a different kind of friend.
Yeah, they
Like,
are.
you end up telling them everything about your life. I mean,
Yeah.
you tell your real friends that, but like they find out things about you much
Literally, when
faster.
you've known them for like 5 minutes, you're like, yeah, well, this happened with me and my boyfriend.
Yeah,
you do. It's like your
exactly.
work wife. You're so confident around them, but then I think that happens with every job though. When I look back at the past jobs I've had, I'm like, we were so close. We used to go nights out all together, like every time we did a shift. And I'm like, I don't even talk to them anymore. I've got them on Facebook and nothing's happened. Just that part of my life has fizzled out, and it's such a shame. But I suppose it's just life, isn't it? It's reality.
Nice at the time, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you give us a bit of like a list of the places that you got to travel to
Yeah.
while you were, either airlines?
So with Monarch, because it was just short haul, I never actually got off the plane unless something actually happened. into the plane, which it did once. I think we lost the left phalange or something.
What on earth is that?
I have no clue.
Is that not a Friends reference?
Yeah. But I think it was, I don't know if it is an actual thing, the phalange, but
Yeah, because
something
it's when
happened.
Rachel gets off the plane.
Yeah,
Because they're like, we lost the phalange.
But we lost the left phalange, and we were in Palma for the night, and when we found out and the captain said, yeah, we're going to have to get off the plane, I was ringing my mum. I was like, yes. And we went for a meal, and then we had to get back on the next morning. All the passengers were really peed off, so I was like, oh. But with BA, oh God, everywhere. Like LA, New York, Chicago, Boston.
What was your
Houston.
favourite place?
It's really probably Johannesburg in South Africa, just because the hotel there is, Justin Bieber stayed there earlier. It is the best hotel. Like, it's stunning.
Well, say no more.
God, it's absolutely stunning. And also, I've been there so many times, but me and Nathan spent Christmas there just before we had Lola, because that was what I had to do. They said, right, you've got Christmas here. He was off, so he come away with me. Got really cheap flights, because if they send you away for Christmas, they basically give you like a free flight to bring someone with you. And it was his birthday on Christmas Day, so we went to the orphanage in the morning, and we took like 4 suitcases just of presents. Like, everyone beforehand who goes on the flights there around Christmas brings stuff for the orphanage, and then after that we had like a massive Christmas dinner with all the crew. So I think that's really special. And then went on like a safari and that. But
Well, that's not a Christmas you're probably going to experience
no,
again.
exactly. I like Bangkok, because Bangkok's a really good night out, but I didn't eat the whole time because I'm so fussy with food. I ate a scorpion when I was drunk, but apart from that, that's it.
You say you're fussy if you
I
eat a
know.
scorpion.
But yeah, I love America. I know everyone says, oh, America's kind of the same, but it's not. When you go to like California, it's like completely different to New York. You can't compare them. Like, they're both amazing. So probably California, it's so chill.
So you've been all over the place,
I
basically.
think everywhere. I think I've been to every continent apart from Antarctica, so that's next on my list.
Family holiday there. So, how long were you with BA for then, and how did that kind of come to a close?
Yeah, I was there for 2.5 years, and then I got pregnant, and you have to let them know as soon as you're pregnant, because you can't fly anymore. They just, in the UK it's illegal for you to fly working while you're pregnant. I don't think I've worded that right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you're cabin crew in the UK, you can't be pregnant and fly. They can't fire you, because obviously that's discrimination. So they find you a job at the airport or something else. You get grounded, which sounds really bad.
That's quite a funny
word. It just
word,
means
actually,
your
isn't
feet
it?
are on the ground rather than in the air.
Right. And is that for health and safety
Yeah, I
reasons?
think because something about the radiation, if you're doing that many flights, it can obviously cause complications. But also, we're expected to assist people with their suitcases and stuff. And if you're doing that all day long and you've got 4 flights in one day because you're doing short haul, it's just not good for you, is it?
Right.
And also, I think because they're not insured if anything was to happen, like when you're in Boston and you're giving birth or something. So yeah, I got grounded at their head office and was just doing like filing and paperwork and stuff. But yeah, you have to tell them straight away. But I'm a bit naughty. I didn't tell them straight away because I was like, right, let's just get one more trip out of the way, Nathan, because this is the last time we're going to get a discounted flight for you. So me and him went to Toronto in Canada, and I
bet that happens quite a lot.
Yeah.
I was like 6 weeks
That's
pregnant.
why sometimes you don't know for a while.
No,
So
you don't.
Yeah, some people don't find out
Yeah.
until much later, so you could just pretend you didn't know.
Lola was literally the size of like a pip or something when we went to Canada. And then I was like, yeah, I'm going to have to tell him now, because I did one last flight after that without him on the flight, and I felt horrific. Like, I was tired, my feet were hurting, I just felt sick. I was like, no, I can't, just in case, like, I have to say to him, I can't do this, and then I get into trouble. So I just rang him and said I'm pregnant, and I got grounded.
Oh no.
Haven't flown since.
Oh gosh.
No, I know.
So you were working, I mean, I remember you were in an area that was just all pregnant women, or how did they do that?
It is. It's called the pregnancy desk. If you touch a desk, you get pregnant. So yeah, I think they really struggle to find somewhere you can go, because they don't want to train you, because you're literally only there for a couple of months.
Yeah.
But so they just put everyone on an area that's available, which is usually filing, which is all I did. But they were asking me to come in 5 days a week, 9 to 5, and obviously commuting to Heathrow, and it was just making me really ill, because I had like severe morning sickness anyway. So I just got a note from my doctor just to say, because I had to pull up on the M40 hard shoulder one time to be sick. It was that bad, because I was being physically sick, and I thought, this is dangerous now, like on a flipping hard shoulder. So I managed, because I have an amazing doctor. He got my hours down to 1 day a week, 4 hours. but you still get paid the same as anyone that works full time because they can't discriminate.
That is finessing the system.
I know.
Yeah, we like this.
I probably finessed
finessing
it.
the
I did
system.
finesse the system. Oh, I like that.
You did.
And then but if you do that, you have to take your maternity leave 4 weeks early because they say, well, if you're that sick, then, which is fine because to be honest, if anything happened, I wouldn't want to be in Heathrow anyway. So yeah, and I went on maternity leave and yeah, I've been back since.
Oh, she's been grounded ever since.
So you've left BA, you're on maternity leave. How was the start of being a mum? How was it?
It was horrible. Everyone's like, oh no. I was quite unlucky. Lola had an awful colic. Like, it was horrific. I was in the doctors every day begging them to help me do something. And my partner was working in Nottingham, so it took him ages because he'd always go like bloody rush hour and he was doing 12-hour shifts in his paramedic job. So I'd be with a screaming baby on my own to early hours of the morning and it was just horrific. So I felt like at the start, now looking back at it, I just don't think I handled it well. There could have been a bit of like postpartum depression there, but you know, there was such a stigma about it that I was thinking, no, I'm fine. But in reality, I wasn't fine. I did have my mum round the corner and she was amazing. I'd have to go there at like 11 o'clock at night just to get someone else to hold her while she screamed. But yeah, it got to the point where I'd have to drive around just to get Lola to sleep and just for my insanity. So I ended up going to McDonald's every night, which is probably why I can't lose my flipping baby weight, to be honest. I'll be there like, I've got to get a Big Mac.
It keeps her quiet.
Oh my God.
Anything to keep her happy.
Anything. But then, I just powered through. I had to. They said one day it will go and you're doing everything you can. I changed her milk and everything. And I think the biggest struggle for me was obviously, usually I was a bit naive. I thought, I'll be fine, I'll take to motherhood, I'm a great big sister, blah-de-blah. But actually, in reality, going from flying to like going on the Hollywood Boulevard and going on nights out with the crew and not having the care in the world, all the money's my own and everything, to sitting at home, doing bottles, night feeds, not travelling, doing all of that, it was the biggest adjustment ever.
Your life literally turned
Changed.
the opposite.
Oh,
of what it
completely
was.
opposite.
Yeah.
And I think as well, because I'm quite young, I was 21 at the time, so I think that's quite, a lot for a 21-year-old to deal with, especially, couldn't blame Nathan because he had to work, someone had to go and bring home the bacon, but I was kind of on my own with it a lot, which was hard, but yeah.
Was that hard for him as well? Did he
Horrible.
want to be here with you?
Yeah, he's even said now, we've had a chat about looking back on it, and he says, I don't feel like I bonded with Lola. Not in a bad way, obviously he loved her, but I think it's harder for the dad to bond anyway, because you've had that baby in your tummy for 9 months. He's had to go to work literally like a week later, because in the UK men only get 2 weeks maternity.
It makes me
So
really angry.
But they made him go in early anyway.
And we're talking about equality. That's somewhere where equality is definitely
Ridiculous.
not good.
Even for the mum, like, I had really bad stitches and I had to deal with it because I was on my own with her.
Yeah.
So he felt like he didn't bond with her because he'd be doing these 12-hour shifts, then driving. It took him 2 hours to get home. Then Lola's screaming her head off, no fault of her own, but she is. So how can a man bond with a baby? He's so stressed out.
When he came home, he needed to sleep.
In the day as well, and then he couldn't because Lola'd be crying. So when we moved house, and we had a horrible neighbour, she was horrific, and the house was just doing my head in. But then when we moved and her colic went, they're like best friends now. So, and I feel like I've really bonded with her, and I've kind of got into a routine now. So I do miss flying now, but not as much because I'm like, well, actually, I prefer spending days with her instead now.
Yeah.
So
it's just a different
I think those
kind of
first
life.
3 months are the hardest 3 months in any mum's life. Even if you've got the best baby in the world and she doesn't have colic and your partner's there all the time, it's still a massive adjustment. Even if you just worked in an office, it is. No one can prepare you for it. You can read every baby book, but until you've pushed that baby out,
Oh my God.
no one can tell you about it.
That's a whole baby's out.
Oh God, don't think
That's
about
a whole
it, 'cause it'll
other
put you
story.
off. Oh God, I can't.
So here we are now, and she's about to turn 1, which is sad.
It's so bittersweet because I'm really excited for her first birthday party because I'm like, I've got so many like secrets planned and a nice cake, but at the same time I'm like, oh no, I can't. My baby's turned 1, I'm going to have another one. I'm going to have to ring Nathan tonight and be like, right, Nathan, let's get the candles out the centre candle.
Jiggy.
Oh, no.
Do you think you're going to have a few more? Is that the
Definitely, 100%. Like, I was an only child until I was 16 and I hated it. Although it's all nice being the only child, I really, really wanted a brother or sister. And now I have a brother, but he's 6. So I feel like, because I'm basically 23, I'm more like his auntie. And I haven't got that bond. He's closer to Lola older because he loves being like a little uncle. So I definitely want another one, but I think in 3 years when Lola started school, so then I've got my childcare sorted and I can just be pregnant in peace.
Yeah, you know now to have it planned, like to
definitely
to like give yourself the
yeah,
time.
100%.
Yeah.
And then I definitely want a third, 100%, because I feel like 2's nice, but 3 is more of a bigger family, and Nathan's from a family of 4, and when I picture myself at Christmas a bit older, I just picture like 3 kids sat there. So I'd love 2 girls and a boy, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, what will happen will happen.
Exactly.
But I guess the last question I kind of have is like, are you planning on going back to flying, or what's the future looking like for you at the moment?
Yeah, definitely. I think once you've got the flying bug, you've got it, and that's it. And I think most people that do flying always go back to it because you can do as many office jobs or whatever, but you're always going to miss it. Like, even short haul, you're going to miss the hustle and bustle of it and the commission and the laughs. But the goal was to go back to a cabin crew job that wasn't BA, not just because of BA, but because I didn't want to commute to Heathrow, but because of Corona. I can't find a job at Birmingham Airport at the moment, and I don't think I will be able to for another couple of years because the aviation industry, like, it's just not what it used to be. But that's the plan, definitely. I'm going to put her into a nursery, go and work for Jet2 or something. So if you're watching Jet2, I'm your girl.
I wish. I wish.
We're at Jet2.
Shall we? We'll tag them.
Jet2.
But yeah, so hopefully as soon as possible, really, because that's like my dream job, but who knows. And then I've said, when all my children, my mum always goes, how many children are having? I'm like, when all my children are at secondary school.
She's like, please stop.
She's like, God, don't have any more. When they're all grown up and they've all started secondary school, I'm going to go to Virgin Atlantic, definitely, because I'm going to do long haul because my children will be old enough.
Yeah.
And I'm going to travel and then try and bring them along with me when I can. But until they're at that age where they can, like, even like, 10, and they can be a bit more independent, I don't want to miss anything. Like, fair play to the people that do it, but I want to be there for first steps, everything. But yeah, so probably in 10 years, Virgin. So Virgin.
Virgin as well.
At Virgin as well.
Yeah, at Virgin. So yeah.
Well,
so any last words of wisdom, last words of advice going into flying?
Yeah, for anyone that wants to do a similar thing to you.
Do it. Just be prepared. You're probably going to miss birthdays, Christmases. Most of your holiday already gets allocated to you. You can't just pick and choose one you want. It doesn't work like that. It is a really hard industry. But if it's something you want to do and you want to travel, I think even if Lola, I'd love Lola to do it, did it in like a gap year, just to go and see some places for a year, get a bit of money.
Getting paid to see the world.
Definitely, because a lot of people do spend a lot of money on travelling, which is great because obviously then you've got the freedom. But I do think this is a really good way of getting a bit of money. So I would say definitely do it, and don't let it put it off having a family and stuff, because you can do both. I mean, if I lived closer to Heathrow, I'd probably still be doing it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say definitely do it. Apply. Don't get disheartened as well if you don't get your first interview or whatever, because some people apply for like 10 and they still don't get it because there's just so many, and it's such a niche market as well, I think. So
yeah.
But yeah, don't let it put you off.
And on the side of like mum life, any advice to anyone that's finding themselves like in that situation, like starting to become a family? And
yeah, I'd say
young mums specifically, maybe.
I'd say you can read as many baby books as you want, but honestly, you've just got to go in it with an open mind, and being a mum is like the best thing in the world. Everyone thinks they know what love is. Like, my mum was my favourite person in the world until I had Lola. The thought of anything happening to my mum,
Kate, don't listen.
God. And I'd never say it to her face because we've got like a sister relationship, not a mum and daughter, so I'd be like, oh God, don't love you that much, bitch. But actually, yeah, I love my mum so much, and now that I'm a mum, I actually feel really guilty for half of the stuff I did when I was a scallywag teenager.
Oh, but we all do it though, don't we?
I feel so guilty because the thought of Lola doing that to me now with her little chubby cheeks breaks my heart. But yeah, I'd just say, take loads of photos. I've got like thousands of photos, and I still don't feel like, when I'm looking back at them, I'm like, I didn't take enough. I can't do a video montage with this. Take loads of photos, enjoy every second, and it's okay to cry, because I did a lot of that.
Oh, well, that's a nice way to end it off.
Nice note to end on.
I think that's it. We've gone through the whole process.
Yeah,
we've given some
definitely.
advice.
I feel enlightened about...
Yeah, me too.
Everyone should just be cabin crew.
I think it's nice to hear for people that don't know how difficult it is maybe now someone that's watching will know.
True, because a lot of parents have a stigma about it and they think, oh, you're just a fancy waitress.
Trolley dolly.
Got all those comments, but actually, no, you're not, because you've had to put fire outs. I've had to put handcuffs on someone because some guy tried to knock me out in Turkey. I've had to take alcohol, people that are drinking their own alcohol, cigarettes, people smoking, people doing jiggy in the toilet. You get it all.
Maybe we'll have to do a video in the future of stories.
Oh my god.
And then we can do like, which celebrities have you met? Oh, and dish the dirt.
Oh, because you have met a few, haven't you?
Yeah.
Really? Right. Well, there you have it. We'll have to do that in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Brilliant.
So thanks so much for coming on.
Having me.
And we really appreciate it, and we hope people have enjoyed it and are enjoying our mini series.
Yes.
Any final words?
Thank you, and see you next Thursday.
Okay, bye.